What is the point of living if you're fighting all the time? There's a time and place to fight for peace, don't get me wrong, which is one of life's greatest ironies. But if you're in a perpetual battle for your existence every other day of your life, and you have to resort to living under an iron dome shielding missiles being lobbed at you by people who not only want you dead, but are willing to kill themselves trying to do so, then maybe it's time to reassess the situation, choose your battles wisely, especially the hill you're willing to die on. Not only so you can live to fight another day, but just so you can enjoy living, period. With all that said, I definitely believe Israel has a right to exist, and that means they most definitely have a right to defend themselves. And while Israel's current government has failed to live up to the whole point of the State of Israel being a safe haven for Jews by fumbling so badly on October 7th in their ultimate mission, they still should eradicate Hamas until every last hostage is saved or accounted for. Not only for Israel's sake, but even for Palestinians' sakes, considering how Hamas has made their own people's lives a miserable hell on earth. Needless to say, I'm very pro-Israeli, which doesn't mean I'm anti-Palestinian. These two things are not mutually exclusive. You can call out the good as well as the bad on both sides and still not engage in cowardly both-sidesing the issue either. So while I'm very pro-Semitic, I'm not anti-Muslim either. I'm very pro-human being, which is why I'm anti-Islam, just like I'm anti-Christianity, which is the demonstrably false belief system I grew up under. Overall, I'm anti-theism. Yet I'm not anti-Judaism, because there's obviously something to this belief system which has helped produce almost 80% of Nobel Prize winners, namely in science, which you don't get participation trophies in that category, at least not yet. When it comes to science, you either prove something about reality to be true, or you don't. It's almost like an athlete winning a competition, especially a boxer winning a fight by knocking out the other guy. It's not like the humanities and the arts, where it's really subjective, and crap like this can be called art and sell for tens of thousands of dollars. But hey, hooray for capitalism. Yet that's the thing about isms, such as Judaism. It has produced some of humanity's greatest thinkers, like Albert Einstein, but it's still a belief system that claims a magical messiah is yet to come and save the world. And that is as delusional as any other religion, and the fact that there are still some Jewish groups that practice circumcision with the rabbi sucking the blood off the infant's penis, that's absolutely disgusting. Sorry, but that is as grotesque as the female genital mutilation practiced by certain Muslim groups. This is why there is nothing holy about the Holy Land, and much less the war being waged on it. But that's the way this war is being reported and ultimately sensationalized by many media outlets. For example, every morning I get my news by hate-watching PBS, and they're clearly left-of-center biased reporting. However, it's the only news outlet without any obnoxious commercials trying to sell me crap I don't need, so I put up with it. That is one of the negatives of capitalism, but I digress. And since October 7th, PBS seems to have an ongoing segment called The War in the Holy Land, and they rightfully focus on the humanitarian crisis going on in Gaza, and informing people on all the tragedies befalling the truly innocent victims in this war, which are children who did not ask to be born into this totally avoidable, unnecessary conflict. But what PBS rarely, if ever, reports is how many of those Palestinian children were most likely brought into this world thanks to a thoroughly warped belief system that encourages jihad. And there's more than enough evidence demonstrating how many Palestinian women believe it's their duty to have children to be martyred for the cause. And media outlets like PBS are also not focusing enough attention to what Hamas has been all along, an undeniably terrorist organization that has killed many of its own people, even thrown the members of the previous ruling party Fatah off a building, after Hamas won the election no less. You'd think they wouldn't be such sore winners, but that's glorified psychopathy for you. And you can never reconcile with that level of murderous bloodlust in some people. You're not going to rehabilitate them, you're not going to reason with them, and the consequences are so predictable you can set your watch to them. Humanity can get very gruesome at times, which is why many people resort to religions, no matter how demonstrably false and delusional the ideas may be. Because if you were to think of the human brain as a computer, religions function as a psychological coping mechanism on a software level and as a neurological terror management system at the hardware level. The problem is, religions don't solve the very problems we're desperately trying to escape. Instead, religions blind us to the practical solution to so many of society's problems, and we end up perpetuating the problems thanks to the tribalism religions encourage, like a vicious cycle on loop. The clearly us versus them paradigm that is tribalism happens when resources are finite, namely the land people live on, and too many people are chasing after too few goods for survival, which is basically what economics is all about. This is why, as long as Israeli Jews and Palestinian Muslims don't let go of their demonstrably false beliefs and the predictably ruinous leaders that result from those beliefs, no one's ever going to win that war if it ever ends in the first place. Because although many people claim that there was already a ceasefire before October 7th, which Hamas supposedly broke, let's be honest, Israel has been under attack since the inception of its statehood in 1948. Yet it's incredible how and why Israelis thought it would be a great idea to set up a state surrounded by religiously driven autocracies that not only hate Jewish people and want them dead, but hate their own people and are killing them all the time. The fact that Israel even needs an Iron Dome goes to show two very contradictory facts. Number one, the genius of Jewish engineers who ironically fail to see point number two, just how unsafe Jewish people have been in Israel all along. Sorry, but it needs to be pointed out. The whole project of a Jewish state for the safety and security of Jewish people, in a sense, has been doomed from the very beginning. With all due respect, if I were an Israeli Jew, I'd cut my losses and get the hell out of that supposed Holy Land. After all, there's never going to be a Messiah coming to Jerusalem, no matter how many settlers occupy that place. And just the same, if I were a Palestinian Muslim, I'd also get the hell out of there. And if I were either a Jew or a Muslim, I would hope that I would also see through the absolute falsehood that is my religion, just like I managed to do with the Catholicism I grew up under, and I would free my mind from those erroneous thoughts and all the burdensome social obligations that come with them. Namely, having more children than you're ready to raise, which seems to be a hallmark of Orthodox Judaism, as well as Catholicism, and definitely Islam. However, it also needs to be pointed out that there is something uniquely horrifying about Islam, where people are being encouraged to have more children than they can afford to raise for the sole purpose of martyrdom, and to be a martyr for a belief system that prescribes death to anyone who leaves the faith in the first place. The fact that Islam punishes apostasy by death should tell you all you need to know about not only the demonstrable falsehood this religion is based on, but the self-defeating living conditions it creates. Much like the self-defeating purpose for the State of Israel that essentially puts its citizens' lives at risk on a daily basis, despite it being a nation created expressly for the safety of Jews. Until humanity gets past its religiosity reflex, avoidable, needless wars and conflicts are going to continue. Because it's bad enough how much violence happens without religion, like what's going on in Haiti and so many other parts of the world. But prayers aren't going to solve those problems. If anything, prayers are probably perpetuating the problem as billions of people ask their imaginary gods of choice to ultimately vanquish their enemies altogether. Every problem has a solution, but religions get in the way. Especially thanks to the psychopaths that know how to wield it for their selfish gain and power, and the millions of people blindly following them into their own self-subjugation. This is why no one's ever going to win a war in a holy land that was never so holy to begin with. If I got anything wrong in this video, please let me know in the comments below. But if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell for upcoming videos, and check out the links below for my original art and merchandise. And thanks for watching.